Hi, everyone. I have no direction in my life. I'm 22. I'm almost 23. And I used to live most people's dreams. I lived in Europe. I traveled the world. I've been to 22 countries. But now I I don't have any aspirations anymore. I've lost all desire to do anything with my life. And I've kind of become a nobody. It's such a, I don't know if fall from grace is the right way to describe it, but I'm living a totally different life than I was 3 years ago. I'm not living that ideal Instagram, social media life, what people put their best out on the internet that most people envy, but it's usually just a facade for most people. For me, it was not a facade. For me, it was real. I have a privileged background. My parents are well off. I got to just basically, after I graduated high school, just went to Europe and just had a bunch of fun traveling around the world on my parents' dime and didn't have to work for any of it. Not to brag. I am very grateful, but that's what my existence was. And then I met someone who was very bad for me, who did not have good intentions. This person was grooming me. I was 19, I was living by myself over in Europe, and this happened, and it was too much for me to handle. Excuse me. And I had a mental breakdown, and I haven't fully recovered from it. And that story will have to be for a future video, but I'm so afraid now. I'm just afraid of the world. After what happened to me, I'm just afraid of crazy things that you shouldn't be afraid of on a day-to-day basis. The world has changed for me now. It's just not how I used to view the world when I graduated high school when I was 17. It was, back then the world was like my oyster. Now the world is just a big, scary place full of bad people and bad things that happen. And I'm just so afraid of it. All I do, I just sit at home. I don't work. I'm not going to school right now. I just sit at home, and I only really leave my house to go to church. It gets me out of the house. I'm very involved in my church, and I do other things locally to kill time, like going to coffee shops and going to the park, and that's my life, basically. I do that on repeat because I'm just so afraid. I don't even want to try anymore. And I've also kind of become a nihilist, too. I just feel like nothing matters if I'm just going to die in the end, and so I feel like, if nothing really matters, it doesn't matter that I'm a loser and that my life has kind of just fallen apart. So, and that nihilism is also a result, in part, because of my traumatic experience. So, I'm just rambling. So, to get to the point here, the reason I'm starting this channel is because, well, there's two reasons. I foresee this channel going one of two ways. There's a small, tiny part of me that still wants to try, that still wants life to have meaning, that still wants to do well, that still wants to make life count. It's gone through hell and back. It's had to retreat. It's done battle with what I've gone through the last few years, but it hasn't fully been stomped out. And it shines through sometimes. And that part of me has this silly idea that maybe I could make a series of videos of me turning my life around, and maybe it could help someone else. Not that anyone would even care watching. I mean, I don't really expect many people to watch this video. Maybe it'll get 10 views if I'm lucky. But most of me doesn't really think that's going to happen. I used to kind of think that I used to tell myself, trying to be optimistic, that this is just a low period in my life. Now I've kind of come to realize this isn't just a low period in my life. This is what my life is now. And it's just all downhill from here, basically. But even in that case, I think it'd be nice to connect with other people on the internet who found themselves in a similar kind of just nihilistic hell that I have found myself in. We can have a little community in the comments, relate to one another. And I thought give me something else to do with all this free time I have, a creative outlet on YouTube, make videos. I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. But primarily this channel will be one of those two things that I mentioned, probably the latter. Because I've lost most of my hope at this point that things are going to get better. So, if you like this video and want to see more videos of me talking about life, then subscribe, and I'll probably be making another video in the next few days or so.